Arabic, not aerobics, today on The World. I'm Marco Werman. Author Zora O'Neill started studying Arabic back in the 1990s.
Nobody knew what to do with that. I literally had somebody be like, "Oh, you're studying aerobics? Great." Because it made more sense for me to study aerobics than to study Arabic.
But things have changed. O'Neill's just traveled the Mideast, documenting different Arabic dialects. Also today, Jack Kuremi tries to explain their identity to Mom.
She's asking me, "So are you a boy?" And I said no. She goes, "So are you a girl?" No. Okay, then what?
All that plus the story behind why we play the imperial pomp and circumstance at graduations. All today on The World. Thanks for being here with us on this Friday. It has been quite a week, unsettling to be honest, in the aftermath of the mass shooting in Orlando. That tragedy has made it clear that safe spaces for LGBT communities across the globe cannot be taken for granted. Our first story today may well be an illustration of that. A Pride March had been scheduled for Sunday in Istanbul, Turkey, but it was canceled. I asked Dalia Mortada in Istanbul to explain what happened.
So the government just issued a statement saying that the Istanbul Pride Parade and the Trans Pride Parade, which is in a couple of days, would be canceled this year due to security concerns. There were rumors already spreading before Orlando that the government would be banning the parade again this year. They actually had banned it last year as well. A lot of people are speculating it's because the parade this year coincides with the month of Ramadan.
With Ramadan. So has anybody been suggesting that they've canceled because of what happened in Orlando?
No one's suggesting necessarily because of what happened in Orlando, but in Istanbul more generally, there has been a heightened security concern. Since last summer, the city has seen several bombings in Istanbul and in Ankara. And so there is already this idea that this is within the realm of possibility.
What is the Turkish government's concern of the coincidence of a gay pride parade with Ramadan?
Well, so a lot of people are complaining. This is a holy month in which people are abstaining from food and water and, let's say immodest behavior. And the Pride Parade is huge and celebratory and flamboyant and colorful, and people are in costumes or not wearing very much clothing at all. And so people had already complained. And actually over the weekend, just after Orlando, one group called the Anatolian Muslim Youth Association had called on the government to cancel the parade, to ban the parade from happening during the month of Ramadan because it was immoral and indecent behavior. Another ultranationalist group came out after them and had basically said the same thing and issued a thinly veiled threat saying, you know what, if you let this go on, if the government lets this continue, if the Pride Parade happens during this month, we'll take matters into our own hands. We'll stop it by any means necessary.
How is the LGBT community in Istanbul reacting to this?
So the LGBT community in Istanbul has issued a statement after statement saying that the Pride Parade will go on, that love wins. They use the Turkish words for the same expression, love wins, and have said that, people need to stand in solidarity for the LGBT community, for Orlando, that, these kinds of threats shouldn't be what's stopping them.
So what does all this say about the future of the Pride celebration in Istanbul? And the future of LGBT rights in Turkey generally?
It's a confusing place, Turkey, because it's one of the few countries in sort of the Muslim world in which being gay is not illegal. It is legal. But whether it's accepted in society, that's a completely different question. For the most part, LGBT people are persecuted in the country. Istanbul is one of the few safe-ish havens in which people may be able to be open, but without risk of being attacked is also not the case. Until the last 2 years, the government had allowed this parade to go on, and for the most part, without too much of an issue. And for the government to publicly ban it in the last 2 years is not a good sign for the community here.
So despite the ban by the Turkish government, Dalia, do you think members of the LGBT community are going to decide to march anyway?
I definitely think they're going to try to gather. That's what they did last year. They got together, and then within a few minutes, the maybe 30 minutes or so, the riot police had deployed water cannons. But I don't think, unless something big changes in the next week, I don't think that people are going to not try to gather at least.
Reporter Dalia Mortada in Istanbul, good to have you with us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Marco.
If you've been listening to our coverage this week, you may have heard me use the word Latinx. I've been using it along with Latino.